Hello and welcome to the People First Weekly webinar. I'm your host, Todd Hendricks, and today we are going to dive into Jekyll and Hyde. And yes, I'm talking exactly about the age-old, timeless story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So we're going to talk about who you are as a leader. Do you show up as the kind and compassionate Dr. Jekyll, or do you show up as the crazy, reactionary Mr. Hyde? Because whatever you show up as, your people are going to respond to. And we're going to talk about that and dive into that in detail today. So when you're stressed, people feel that unless you hide it really, really well. Now, I am never one to be in favor of hiding your emotions or pretending to be something or someone that you're not. But in leadership, we have to maintain a steady course. We have to be calm, cool, and collected. Now, people can know that we're upset, we're stressed, whatever, but our direct reports, the people in our businesses and organizations, are looking to us for leadership, even in the stressed out times. So what I was thinking about was if you watch football like on Sunday afternoons, and sometimes they have a camera in the locker room, and you see the players like in front of their lockers, and they're getting their gear on and they're putting their eye paint on, and oftentimes they've got headphones in and they're listening to music. Some of them are talking and joking, but the majority of them are kind of in their own little zone. And we talk about that, they're getting in the zone, or I'm in the zone, or I'm getting my head in the game, or whatever it is. And there is a process that the football players go through, and not just football players, but any athlete, where they have to kind of shield themselves from the outside noise. They have to focus. They have a very specific job ahead of them. They've got to get their head in the game so that they know what to do, and they can't be distracted. As leaders, we need to do the same thing. Now, I have been a young leader before and just come into the building like, yay, we're here. Let's do work and do leadership stuff, and was mentally and emotionally unprepared for some of the things that I was going to come up against that day. I can remember one time specifically that I had just taken over a new role. Somebody had left a role, so I was promoted into a new role, and I got hammered, absolutely hammered and blindsided by an onslaught of problems, negativity. I walked into a mess, absolutely. And I was not emotionally prepared for that. I didn't know I was walking into that. The people who left didn't tell me or prepare me that that was what was coming. And I tell you what, like I was crestfallen, I think would be the correct term to say that. I was crushed. I just thought, wow, I am horrible at this. I am no good. I can't do this job. And I was just down on myself. And finally, it took somebody, one of my direct reports, who kind of came alongside and said, hey, Todd, we, some of the other people, we know that you didn't know what you're walking into. You're doing a really good job. They didn't prepare you for this, and we didn't think they were going to prepare you for this, but it wasn't our place to ask you these personal questions. So we just want you to know you're doing a good job. And that kind of turned things around for me. And I was like, okay, all right, this isn't just me like doing a bad job. But I wasn't prepared. I didn't go in there ready for anything. I went in there just happy go lucky, and I got smashed. Absolutely got crushed. So as leaders, we have to walk into our businesses, our organizations, our days, our meetings, whatever it is, mentally and emotionally prepared for whatever may come. Now, a lot of that's going to come with experience. So if you've been in a role, just a year or less, you're probably still figuring out your role, what you're doing, what's going to come at you, what you're going to have to do, what you're going to have to deal with. But let's say you're 5, 6 years in, you have a much better understanding of what you're going to deal with on a daily basis. And so when you go into a meeting, in the back of your mind, you're already like, yeah, I think I'm going to just play chill right now because this is going to get spicy. And I know it's going to get spicy. So I'm going to mentally just prepare myself. I'm not going to react. I'm not going to be goaded into an argument. I'm not going to be goaded into something I shouldn't say. I'm just going to be like, okay. Now, when you have the opportunity to do that, let's do a little exercise right now. If I were to say, who's ever watching this, say, I'm going to put you in a meeting and you're not going to know what's going to happen. Okay. And it's going to happen. It could be positive. It could be neutral. It could be really negative. But here we go. you're going to be like, what the heck is going on? Like, I don't know how to respond. Exactly. Now, if I say, okay, look, we're going into a meeting. This is what the meeting's going to be about. There's going to be a person who is opposed to this, and they're going to be very vocal about being opposed to this. This is why they're opposed to this idea, and it is our job to convince them otherwise and move them in the direction that the company is going to go. Now, there's going to be negativity that comes with that, but we're going to weather that storm. We're going to have good conversation. We're going to have arguments, bullet points 1, 2, and 3 right here, of why we're going to do these things. And that's the course that we're going to stay during this meeting. You're going to have a completely different mindset because now you're prepared. You know what's going to be discussed. You know who is probably going to come at you. You know what their arguments are going to be, but you know that we still need to move forward and get this job done. You're going to be a much better place mentally, even when the hardships come, because you know they're coming. So all of that to go back to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Your people need Dr. Jekyll. They need calm, cool, and collected and even. And you've heard me talk about this a ton of times. On a scale of 1 to 5, I like to be like a 3 or 4, right in the middle all the time. Sometimes I can go up to a 5, sure, because I'm really excited about something, but I never want to go below a 3. Because when I am down, depressed looking, or I'm anxious, or I'm worried, or I'm sad, or whatever, that's going to be felt and seen by my direct reports. Let's put this into your living room right now. When your spouse comes home, or your significant other, or whatever, you don't even have to look at them or hear them say anything. You know they're coming in mad, right? Yes, absolutely. By the way they sit down, by the way they come in the door, whatever it is. It's unsaid, it's unspoken, but you know, oh boy, something's not right here. Your direct reports and the people on your staff can do the same thing with you. When you come in, they're going to be like, oh, Todd's mad. Todd's mad. He opened that door. He's not looking at anybody. He's not saying good morning. He's walking straight to his office. Something is not going well here. Okay. So how do we do that? Because I don't like being fake. But I also want people to understand, yes, sometimes other people's decisions do have negative impacts on me. And that is something that we have to understand. So what I like to do, and I think this is going to prove well for you if you take this tactic yourself, is stay at a 3. Maybe you're at a 4, but maybe you're at a 3. And maybe people can see, oh, Todd's not doing so great today. He's upset. But I'm always going to be positive in my speech. I'm going to be proactive in whatever it is that I'm trying to do. And I'm always going to be solution oriented in my mindset. And so maybe I'm like, hey, how's everybody doing today? This is fantastic. Because now I'm at a 4 or 5. And maybe today I'm like, hey, good morning. How are you? Yep. Todd, are you okay? I'm a little bothered by some of these things over here, but we're going to find a solution for those. And I'm just mulling that over in my head. We're going to move forward. So we're going to make it happen. So what did I communicate? I communicated that I'm bothered by something, but I also communicated that I'm solution mindset oriented and that I'm going to find a solution for this thing. So they know I'm affected mentally and emotionally by this, but I was calm, cool, and collected, and I was even. And that's what your people, okay, Todd's upset, but you know what? He's handling that really well. I can appreciate that. That builds trust. I told a story about the guy on the airplane watching the stewardess, the flight attendant, a couple weeks ago, and I think that holds true. The plane's going through turbulence, and the guy's just kind of cocked back, and he's not worried or anything. But the person next to him, he's freaking out, like, "Oh my gosh, all this turbulence, this isn't going so well." And the guy's like, "I'm not worried. I'm watching the flight attendant, and she's just doing her job and whatever. She's not worried by this. When she gets worried, that's when I get worried." 10 minutes later, she goes to the back of the plane and straps into her seatbelt. Okay, now this is getting more serious, right? Same, you are that. You are the barometer. I think that's the right word. You are the barometer for your company. Your staff, your direct reports are going to be watching you and how you handle things. And if you handle things well, they're going to try to emulate that, or at least understand that's the standard that leadership is attained to. Same thing with your kids at home. Now, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but this may step on your toes. If you were raised in a household where your parents screamed and yelled at each other, how did you learn to solve conflict? By screaming and yelling at each other. unless it was something that deeply affected you and you didn't want to do that, but that was still an example for you. Now, what do the children who come from those homes typically do? They typically scream and yell at their spouses or significant others because that was the standard, that was the example that was set for them. All that to say, be even. Be even across the board. So here's some things that I want to talk about. Why does your leadership have mood swings? Is it you? Is it what's going on in your personal life? Is it what's going on in your professional life? Is that affecting your leadership and how people view you? If you are kind of up and down like a roller coaster and you're emotionally high, then you're emotionally low, then you're professionally high, then you're professionally low, you don't feel even. You don't feel steady. People who are under your leadership are going to lose trust in you. Not because you've made bad decisions, but they don't know who they're going to get. And I think we've all worked for people and been around people where it's like when they come home or when they come to work, it's like, who's showing up today, right? It doesn't make you feel good because then everybody's kind of like looking out their office door like, all right, I think it's going to be a good day. I think it's going to be all right. Or it's like, oh, no. Close the door. We're not even going down that way. What kind of work environment are you creating for your direct reports and your staff? If they have to look down the hallway or look at you to see what kind of day they're going to have, that's not okay. That's not okay. Because it's not okay for them emotionally, but also professionally. That's not a way to run a business or an organization. You need to be even, calm, cool, and collected as much as possible. So I did some work with a company about a year and a half ago, and where leadership was very much a roller coaster, up and down, up and down. When things were good, everybody was happy. When things were bad, there was yelling and screaming. And one of the problems that I helped them solve was, we keep having turnover. Yeah, absolutely. Who wants to work in this environment? And apparently nobody had ever told them that. And it's like, look, if you're yelling and screaming, like, Todd, right now, I'm a 47-year-old man. I'm not going to go anywhere and work for you if you're going to yell and scream at me. You can take this job and just keep it if that's how this work environment is going to be. I'm not going to put up with that because I'm professional. I have standards. I have self-respect. I don't need that. But there are other people who need the job really, really, really bad, and they'll put up with things. And so they'll lower their standards and their expectations because they need a job. That doesn't make it okay for you as the leader to act like that. You should not. So find ways to de-stress. I heard a fantastic statistic the other day. Some research has come out, and these researchers were looking at people who had anxiety and depression. And they were doing 2 different groups and finding the results of different treatment options for people with anxiety and depression. One, they gave specific anxiety and depression medication to see if that alleviated their symptoms. And then the other group received no medication, but had to participate in some sort of resistance training, like going to the gym and working out. And they found that the people who were doing the resistance training, the working out, had a 20 to 40% decrease in their anxiety and depression symptoms over the people who were receiving traditional medication. All of that to say, I'm not a doctor and I'm not giving you any medical advice, but find something that alleviates your stress. And if it's exercise related, it's going to have compounding benefits for you. So if you're stressed out at home and you take that to work, your staff feels that. Just like if you're stressed out at work and you bring it home, your family feels that. You have to find a way to balance and mitigate that. Now, maybe it's I'm going to take the long way home and drive for an extra 10 minutes and listen to some nice peaceful music, and that's going to help me just kind of shed that. Now, what I did was when I had stress at work, I tried my absolute best to leave it at work. Now, sometimes I would come home and my wife would be like, rough day today, huh? I'm like, yep. And she would just come and give me a hug. And that was kind of just my thing to just melt away the stress. My wife giving me a hug just melt stress away from me. And then, of course, my kids would come up and that would just turn me around right away. So I had a fantastic home environment. So that was a really good thing for me. Now, maybe that's not a situation for you, but you have to find something that's going to help you mitigate that stress. Now, why does emotional inconsistency erode trust with your staff and your direct reports? And we talked about this just a couple minutes ago. It's because they don't know who they're going to get. Think about kind of a negative thing to think about, but think about if you go to an animal shelter and you walk up and down, like the kennels where all the dogs are. You can usually pick out the dogs that have been abused, right? Because they're the ones, when somebody comes up, they're the ones who kind of like hide and cower in the corner and they're kind of shaking and you're like, "Aw, poor little guy. He probably didn't get treated very well." Exactly. Did you know your staff does that too? Now, they might not hide in a corner and shake, but they're going to avoid you if they can. They're going to have task avoidant things where it's like, you need this report by 3 o'clock, and they just don't want to talk to you because you're emotionally unstable and they don't know who they're going to get. So maybe they're just going to email it to you. They're not going to talk to you about it or whatever. They're going to avoid contact with you because you're emotionally unstable and they don't know who they're going to get. You have to fix that. You absolutely have to fix that because that's not okay. It's not fair for them to have to deal with that, and it's not professional. What else is that also doing? It has a negative benefit, not a negative benefit, a negative effect on your business, on your leadership. You're lowering your effectiveness as a leader, which means your business is probably not going to be as profitable. You're not going to be as efficient in getting the work done. What does that all translate to? Time, frustration, and dollars lost for your business or your organization. So we have to have a mindset shift that comes in, that creates calm in your mind, that helps you become confident and predictable. Let's go back to the football players. Maybe it's a daily routine. Maybe it's something that you do. Like you pull up in your car, you get into your parking space, and you're like, okay, 60 seconds. All right, what am I going to deal with today? I'm going to have to deal with this. I'm going to have to deal with this. This is going to be positive. This is going to be negative. And then I'm going to have lunch. That's my game plan. Move through these things. Don't back down. Be positive. Be professional, but handle things. Okay. I don't have my list. I got one of my small lists down here, but I'm a list person. I always have a list, and my list is always done the night before. So before I go to bed, I have a list of everything I'm going to do the next day. Positive, negative, pick up the kids from school. I got to go to the store. Whatever I'm doing that day makes it to that list. And so this is actually a really, really short one. Usually it's a full page long, but everything is on there. Absolutely. Like my workout is on there. My walk in the morning is on there. My phone calls are on there. This call right now, this webinar is on there. Everything is on there. And so then I can go through and I know the night before, okay, yep, I'm going to deal with these things tomorrow. Okay. And that's how I get my head in the game. And so when I wake up in the morning, it's like, boom, I know exactly what I'm doing. Exactly what I'm doing. I know the things that I need to do first. I know the things that I can bump. I know the things that are flexible. So like if something comes up and I get like an emergency call, it's like, okay, yep, I can bump, 5, 6, 7, and 8 on this to the afternoon. That's okay because those are flexible. Or, you know what? I'm sorry, I can't take this call right now. Number one is hard. Like I've got to do that one. So find a routine for yourself that gets your head in the game, that gets you focused, that gets you on point, because it's not just you that has to be on point. You being on point helps others be on point aside from you as well. So people are going to look to you for your leadership. They're going to look to you for sometimes even that confidence. Like if you're always stable, think about somebody in your life who's always stable. Sometimes they get excited and they're happy, sure, and sometimes they're down, but 95% of the time, they're even Steven. They're nice and stable, and like you like being around those people. You take comfort in being around those people. They make you feel steady, and that's a good thing. Now, think about the opposite. There are crazy people in your life, right? Maybe they're family members, maybe they're friends, maybe it's whoever. And you're in like, oh man, who am I going to get today? I don't know. I don't want to go over there. Oh, they're coming over for dinner tonight. Jeez, I don't want that. Ugh. You never know. They're going to be happy. They're going to be crabby, whatever. Don't be that person. And if you are that person, let's fix that, because there's ways to fix that so you don't have to be that way. And the last thing I want to talk about is how you as a leader can show up even under great amounts of pressure. And again, that's going to go back to getting your head in the game early. Okay, I've got to do this thing. I'll give you a story back when I was an assistant principal. This is one of my early leadership lessons. I had taken over an assistant principal role, and there was a lot of, I guess, tumultuousness in the school at the time. And there was like the kids felt it. It was just a very negative time in the school. And so we ended up having a lot of physical altercations between students. For some reason, the week that I took over, we had, I want to say, more than 10 different physical altercations at that school. And I remember this stat. I suspended 23 kids in 5 days of school. That was my first week as an assistant principal. Crazy. It was crazy. The amount of negativity I was not prepared for. This is what I was alluding to when I first started talking about this today. I was unprepared for what I was stepping into. But, that's what you get when you're a leader is you get experience, and I got experience fast. So the second week, I was much more prepared. Like the first week was literally just surviving. The second week, I was like, okay, I took the weekend. I got my bearings. I got my head on. I was like, okay, let's focus. So that following Monday morning, I came in, I was like, okay, here's the things that I'm going to do differently because I need to be better. Here's the things that I need to look out for because I learned from last week, and things went much smoother from that point forward. What can you do? What do you need to do? You need to be the best that you can be. Now, I know that sounds kind of cliche, but it is. You need to be the best that you can be because your staff, your direct reports are looking to you for leadership. And maybe they don't need your leadership because they're doing a really good job. They've got a lot of experience. They've been working with you for a long time. There's that good, give and take in the job. And they don't really need you to lead them. But if you're in leadership, they're still watching. They're still watching. It's kind of like when you take a kid to the playground. They can go play in the playground, but what do they do every 3, 4, 5 minutes? Oh, there's mom. Oh, okay. Oh, there's dad. They just look back and they check. And if they don't see you, what do? Where's mom? Where's dad? They start to freak out. Now, I'm not saying your employees are going to freak out, but you are the barometer. They're looking at you for the temperature in the room. What's going on? Is my leader happy? Are they steady? Are they consistent? Or are they all over the place? Because if they're all over the place, I don't know. Again, let's go back to the animal shelter. When you're training a dog, if you've ever done this, and I know those of you out there who have dogs, you're always training your dog. If you make your dog sit before they get a treat, they will do that rather quickly. If you give them a treat just when they're walking around and they're like, oh, so I can get a treat just by walking around, and then you want them to sit, but they don't sit. So now you're mad at your dog because it won't sit for its treat. Well, hold on. You just did two different things. Dog doesn't know. Dog's confused. Now the dog's like, well, what's going on? Same thing with your leadership. What are you non-verbally telling your staff and your direct reports by how you handle emotional situations or professional situations or stressful situations or happy situations? They are always watching. Just like your kids are always watching their parents, same thing with your staff and your direct reports. So think about your leadership. Are you Dr. Jekyll, who is nice, calm, cool, and collected? Or are you the crazy Mr. Hyde, who is scary, unpredictable, and erodes trust with their direct reports and their staff? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear what some of you feel are your strengths, your weaknesses. Are you Dr. Jekyll or are you Mr. Hyde? Do you work for one? Should you call me and maybe we can work something out and help you get better as a leader in your business or your organization? Thank you for joining me today. I hope you found valuable information in this discussion. Thank you for giving me your time. I appreciate it. And if there's anything that I can do to help, please reach out to me either in the comments or personally. I would love to have a conversation with you about how I can help you in your business and specifically you grow. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.